Hey, thanks for being here, Jeff. Okay, so guys, welcome to the second episode of REWA show, where I personally interview real estate investors and wholesalers. On this episode, we have Jeff with us. He's a well-known personality in the real estate space, and he's a real estate investor himself and a coach as well. He's a creative financing wizard, like it's crazy in the creative financing world. Okay, so let's just talk about his stuff and all those other things. So welcome to the show, Jeff. Thanks for being here, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
I always look forward to this stuff. This is I've been sitting in front of a camera now for a few years, and I still, every time, just right before that camera starts, I still get a little bit nervous every time. So
me too.
Yeah, it's a good, it's a good character building activity. So I'm ready for you. Let's do it.
Yep, that's good. So yeah, let's just start. Would you like us to tell us more about your current journey and what are the other ventures and other jobs you had and all those other things about your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's been a really, honestly, I just didn't know I'd be here today. Like I had no outlook really, I didn't. So I started off, I was a W-2 employee for 20 years.
Okay.
Had a job in IT. I worked IT. I basically jumped from job to job, really just chasing money. That's what I did. I looked for whoever was paying the best. That's what I did the next. It didn't matter, culture didn't matter. The people didn't matter. It was all about money. And really that ended up put me in a position where I really started to hate having a job. I hated working for somebody else. And I've always had this idea. Back in 1996, I was serving in the Marine Corps, and I bought a TV, what do you call it, an infomercial product.
Okay.
And it was the no down payment real introduction into real estate. And I was like, well, this thing can work. I mean, this could work. But as life happens, I was busy with my career. I had kids, and I just shelved it. And wasn't until 2015 that I really just got fed up with my job. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to be done with this. I'm going into real estate. And so in 2015, I jumped into real estate, spent a good part of 2015 really just kind of in learning mode, I guess is what you could call it. And, from there, it was really just it's kind of a natural progression to what I do now. I learned so much. I failed so many times, just making all these mistakes. And then it's kind of, you kind of sprinkle in some of your success, and so you have these little successes. And then the next thing I know, I'm doing really, really well. So I decided to quit my job and go all in on this and on the real estate side. And then, those things that I learned and those things that the knowledge that I acquired through doing all that stuff really is what helped me launch into my creative finance academy over at sub2empire.com. That's really, it's really the story. That's kind of the short of it. I have tons and tons and tons of stories, but obviously we don't have the time to go through the majority of those. So.
I would love to hear about them as well.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. So how do you just from doing some real estate stuff, where did you start? Like you're doing some fix and flip or buying and hold and something like that, or you just start as others like wholesale deals?
Yeah, I took I kind of took a left turn. I didn't really know all of this terminology. I didn't know what wholesaling was. I didn't know what, everybody, the term fix and flip gets floated around out there. And I think everybody can piece that together and understand what that means. But I really had no real real formal education on it. I did hire a mentor early on. And so kind of the twist that this took was, in the beginning, I didn't have any money. I had no money to go out and buy these deals. I'd gone through a divorce, some years prior, and it really, really, really jolted me financially. I had no savings, really nothing. I had nothing really. And so when I decided to get into real estate, the big question is, well, how in the world are you going to pay for this? Like, how are you going to find the money to do this? And like I said, I had excellent credit. Like I could go out and
Yep.
I had great credit, but I didn't have any money. I couldn't utilize my credit. So, usually if you go out and buy a house, if you're looking at conventional types of lending programs, usually when you buy a house, you got to have 20% down, to buy that house. Well, I had nothing. I had no resources in the financial realm. So I had to think of these really creative ways of getting these deals done. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but I had to get creative, and I knew that. And
Okay.
so really what plunged me into the creative side was, I told you I come from an IT background.
Yep.
So I was really good with setting up like in the Google Ads platform. It was AdWords back then, but it's Google Ads now.
Yep.
And I decided, well, I've got this job. I can't be constantly managing, my marketing myself. I didn't have the money to pay anybody else to do it. I said, well, Google Ads is what I'm going to use. And so,
Okay.
yeah. So, and so what I ended up doing was I took about 3 months and I just built out this super, super fat Google ad, these ads that I created. And I think at the time I had like something around like 60 different ads that I would put out there.
Okay.
And so the story is that I decided one night I was super afraid to even push, to press go. I was afraid to press the play button on my Google ads and let them go live. Just all kinds of different fear, just fear from every angle. So one Saturday night, I was just sitting there and I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get anywhere if I don't take some action on this. And so I clicked play, I shut the computer down and I walked away.
Okay.
And the very next morning, I was doing some chores around the house, and I got a notification on my phone that somebody had filled out a web form. It was my first motivated seller lead. So if you think about that went live on Saturday. On Sunday morning, I got my first lead. That lead cost me
PPC, bro.
Yeah, that lead cost me, I think, like $8 or something at the time. It wasn't very expensive at all. So anyway, kind of a long story short, that was on Sunday morning. On Sunday night, I had my first contract. I had my first property under contract.
Okay.
No idea how to pay for it. No idea how I was going to get this done. So eventually what ended up happening was I ended up negotiating with that seller that I would just start making her payments. She would property to me, but I would start making her payments.
Okay.
And
Tech Subto.
Subject to, that's right. So I knew what subject to was at the time. I just didn't know the ins and outs. I didn't know the inner workings of how to get that deal done. So essentially, I bought that deal. We got her moved out to a separate property, a rental, and closed on that deal. I turned around and flipped it. I think we put flooring in one of the bedrooms.
Okay.
And then we turned around, and put it on the MLS, and I walked away with a $41,000 check from that deal.
Tech money, bro.
So, yeah, I mean, I was just like, holy cow, I really can't believe that just happened. But what's really funny is while that was happening, it's almost like I put this intention out in the universe. I'm kind of a sucker for this type of like mystical, like, put it out to the universe will answer back. And so
exactly, me too, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I had this intention. This happens, and then while this is happening, I get another phone call, or no, this was a phone call. I'm sorry, it was a phone call. Second was a phone call, and this guy, this motivated seller, was really kind of he was in different situation, but it was still it was a very tough time for him. And so this guy actually gave me his home. He gave it to, I didn't have any money into this at all. So this is my second deal. And I also bought that one subject to.
Okay.
Right. So, and then just to wrap it all up, I had, while that second one was on the market and being sold, the agent used to list that first deal that I did, she brought me another deal, which I then bought subject to as well. So I was thrust into the creative financing world very early on. I mean, I went on late that year. I started kind of dabbling a little bit of wholesaling, which I'm not a wholesaler, but I dabbled in wholesaling. I ended up doing 24 deals that year, right out of the gates. Yeah, I mean, it was I was like I say, I was shot from a cannon, and I never really looked back. From that point on, I knew that this was a reality. These motivated sellers, they exist. They're out there, you know. And so so kind of going back, we talked a little bit prior to jumping on here, but that helped me realize that in this business, marketing comes first. You have to be a marketer. You have to be willing to market. And so so I call myself a marketer first, then a real estate investor, and then a real estate coach. Yep. So that's the story.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting, right? You just started with Google PPC, what we call right now, like we offer done for you service with, to other investors. Like we do marketing for others. Like the thing is, you started with the best inbound lead generation strategies, like Google PPC. That's the highly motivated leads came from this.
Yeah, right? I cannot recommend it. I mean, especially if you're in a position like where I was, where you just, maybe you've got maybe you've got a job that, you know, you have to dedicate a lot of time to. Google is not a set it and forget it type of marketing thing. There is some management that needs to go on. Yeah, but it's if you set it up right, it's minimal. If you have someone that knows what they're doing, there's minimal, there's a, you know, it does have to be maintained, but it's not like all these, it's not like direct mail, you know, where you're sending out just then you got to manage all those lists and all that stuff. This just ran on its own. That's why I picked it. It gave me the flexibility. It was, you know, it wasn't the cheapest way, but I can tell you right now, I know whenever I pick up the phone, if somebody's calling me, I know where that lead. Exactly. Yeah. If it comes from a PPC ad, I know it almost instantly when I pick up the phone, because these folks are, you know, they're seeking you out. They're seeking out your services. They're typing in their computer, and, you know, they're just the best. They are the best leads that you can get. No, just hands down, they're the best you can get. But, totally agree with you, bro.
So PPC is like an intense based lead generation platform where people search for you. Plus they are looking just for selling their home. And it's not like Facebook ads, which we start with. Like we prefer our clients to start with Facebook and scale with Google PPC, because that's more scalable. Plus, I know there are a lot of like high cost per lead and all this other stuff, but I won't recommend you to start with Google PPC. Start with Facebook, get that ball rolling, and then after that, scale with PPC. That's what I know, and we've been doing this for a while now. So and understand, like, don't go for PPC when you are just starting out. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I that's a really great way to, a really great approach, because it can be, unless you have some help with it, unless you know, I did it myself. I have an IT background. Unless you have somebody that's knowledgeable in it, well, you can spend a lot of money. I mean, if you make one small mistake in Google, it can cost you my Google
ton of money into this market.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So
right now,
I would recommend that if you're not technical at all, you've got to outsource it. You've got to get help with it.
That's where we came into this play. Sorry about marketing my service, but let's get right into it. And tell us more about your current system. How do you get those deals under your contract, and what's your acquisition and what's your disposition strategies, what you use, and all this other stuff? Tell us more about that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that for us is kind of unique as well. Our leads come in. It just depends. See, I always look at when we're talking about marketing, we're talking about getting leads. I always ask people, well, what is your goal? What is your goal for? I mean, do you want to be a buy and hold investor? Like that's what I am. That's what I do. I try and hold on to everything that I can. You know, I try to buy something, hold on to it, and cash flow it for as long as I possibly can. If you're a wholesaler, or if you're somebody who's looking for, you know, a quick turn, like you need a lot of active income, or maybe it's somebody who needs some cash reserves or something like that, then wholesaling wholesaling and marketing, that needs to be ramped up quite a bit. I mean, you ask any wholesaler, I mean, they are just always marketing. So that would be the first thing. I'd say, what is your goal? Like, if you're a buy and hold investor, like me, from now on, I pretty much just buy from wholesalers at this point, because I don't necessarily need to build those marketing channels, because I'm not, my deal flow is a little bit slower. I buy about a deal per month. I buy about one property per month. Now that can be a single family property. That can be an apartment building. It just depends. But one deal a month for me is fine. And so my acquisitions personally, my acquisition strategy is I talk to wholesalers, and what I try to do is I try to take the leads that maybe those wholesalers, maybe they get a lead in and there's not an equity spread there. There's no way for them to really make money. Well, I can take those all day long, because I can turn just about, maybe not 100% of the deals, but I can turn almost any of those low equity deals into a cash flowing and super profitable deal. So but we do have some folks, like in our coaching program, we have some people that come in as wholesalers, and so we do have a whole, I mean, it's just a matter of systemization. You got to systematize what you do. If you don't have a system, you're I hate to say it, but you're kind of wasting your time. You're kind of wasting your time in this business. If you don't have a system for marketing, then good luck to you. But the longevity, your duration of and your success in this business is going to be extremely limited. So, and then on the dispo side, on the disposition side, so we again, we kind of do things a little unique in that we look at wholesaling as kind of a byproduct of what we do. So we're just buyers. We're creative buyers. We like to buy using creative financing. In fact, we have a motto in our coaching program, and it's think creative first. We think creatively first. We think about doing a creative deal before we ever make a cash offer deal. Like a lot of people, or a lot of our colleagues in this business. I'm not going to call them competition, because they're not. But a lot of our colleagues in this business, that's all they know. All they know is to give a cash offer. For us, we think creative first. What that allows us to do is to get super, super creative on the back end, because if we have a seller on the acquisition side who is willing to get creative with us, now we can take that deal, because I don't want to get off in the weeds here, but now we can take that deal. We can be super creative on the disposition side. So what we like to do, generally speaking, is if it's a single family, for my business in particular, we like to sell those deals on seller financing.
Okay.
And so we bought the property, maybe we picked it up subject to, maybe we picked it up with seller financing, or a portion of seller financing. Then we're going to turn right around. We are going to advertise that property, and we're going to sell it on seller financing. Okay. So it's a lot of people think that a lot of people don't think that's even possible, but it is 100% possible.
Yeah, I'm hearing this for the first time as well. Like you're selling a deal on seller financing.
Yeah. So you have an underlying loan. We have a loan. We have a mortgage. Let's say if we've taken it over subject to, or the seller is carrying a note for us. So we have that loan, but then we turn around and seller finance. We give a loan to our buyer, and our buyer, basically, we just build in a spread there. We build in much like a rental, really, except we have a buyer and not a renter. So we're just making that spread off of between the terms, between, if I've got a 2.5% interest rate on the underlying loan, and my buyer, if I finance them for 7%, well, now we've got a 5% spread. We're arbitraging those interest rates.
Okay.
So does it make sense?
Yep. All good. So it's
Okay,
like
good.
cash flow as well,
Yep,
right?
cash flow. It's cash flow now. Well, it's really, we look at it as we get paid now, we get cash flow now, and we get paid later when they
Yep.
ultimately refinance out of that property. Yep.
Yep. Sounds good. You just tell us about the wholesalers and marketing and system. So I heard this about from our colleagues, like wholesalers are not the real estate investors. They are a marketing and sales company, happen to be working in real estate worlds. Like you're getting a lead, and that's a marketing, and you're closing them and putting that contract under contract and then selling them. That's a sale, right? You're not doing a lot of things. You're just doing some marketing and sales tactics and to this real estate. So that's what
That's
I just clicked into this mind. And yeah, you talked about the system. Let me tell you,
Yep.
there are only three things in my mind you need to scale any business: like team, system, and consistency. That's all you need.
Yep.
If you have
Yep.
systems, you can place anything. Like you just tell me about, like told us about your PPC campaign, right? You
Mhm.
just started with a system and then you scale throughout this process, right?
Yep.
That's pretty no-brainer for me as well. So
Yeah,
let's
everything is a system too. I mean, everything you can, I mean,
exactly.
literally, I mean, when you wake up in the morning, your routine in the morning, I wake up, I sit down, I have a cup of coffee, I get my shoes on, and I go out and I do my workout every single day. Now that to me is that's a system. I have systematized my morning. So if you think about systems in that way, literally everything that you do, the habits that you do and things like that, if you were to document those systems, think about how much nicer it would be if you could hand that system off to somebody else and allow that. This is what allows for scale. This is what allows people to scale, building these little systems so that they are documented and somebody else can come in and perform them. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not going to have somebody come in and I'm not going to have somebody come in and put my shoes on for me to go out to work out, but I'm just trying to give you an example, or give your viewers an example of what systems look like. They don't have to be these big elaborate, formal types of things. It's just these little things that you do all the time that need to be documented in your business. So that's how scale happens, is through systems.
So do you have any employees under you, like your VAs doing cold calling or something like that? Oh, sorry, you just said that you buy properties from wholesalers. Okay. So what about the disposition part? Do you have any employees doing work for you?
So for my real estate business, see, I'm kind of opposed to scale in my real estate business because, well, number one, I'm a buy and hold investor. So, other than people that I like contractors for fix up and maintenance and things like that, I kind of I've adopted the lean and mean philosophy. So I like to keep my overhead super, super low, as low as I possibly can. Maybe me and another person. Now this isn't going to work in a wholesaling business. More than likely, you're eventually going to wear out because wholesaling, I mean, that is super, super active. You've got to be on it all the time. And that's really what I didn't like about wholesaling. So on my real estate side, yes, I am super lean and mean. We have two folks that, I personally go out and I walk properties. I negotiate deals. I get deals under contract. I do have I have a couple of other buyers that are not employees, but they're, I have a JV agreement with them. When, if I can't go out and look at a deal and get it under contract, I'll send them out and they will, they can do that for me. But as far as the coaching business goes, yes, we have really started to scale up our coaching business. And so that we have 4 folks. We have 4 employees right now that are full-time in our coaching business. So yeah, to kind of go back to the VA thing a little bit, a VA is great. So in my business, I don't use a VA, but if you're going to be wholesaling, I sure would be nice to have some help. And but I would recommend not even thinking about a VA though until you have some systems in place.
Exactly.
I mean,
You
I
should
don't
be
know if
closing at
you
least
have
2 deals a month, or like 1 deal a month. Then
100%.
after that, go for the VA and systems.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been caught in that trap before where I thought I needed a VA. I was super busy. And these are in my wholesaling days where I was trying to do a lot of deals and get some cash reserves. But I thought, man, I really need to hire a VA. But what I failed in was actually having systems to hand off to that VA. So a lot of what people get, a lot of trouble some of the trouble they get into when they hire a VA is they don't have anything for the VA to do because they don't have anything systematized. And so what I found myself doing was I would spend tons of time trying to figure out things for this VA to do, because I'm paying her. And ultimately it ended up just being, I don't have enough to do because everything is so scrambled around in my head. I don't have it documented, written down on paper. So it really just didn't work out for me just because of that, because of my failure, really failure to have solid systems in place. So big lesson there. It was a big lesson learned.
Yep. So that's what I would recommend as well. Like, at least have a system and some SOPs in place before hiring someone into your team. Or you can hire someone who can manage that, the VAs, and hire them and train them, all of those. Just like us, we offer done for you service. Like, we generate leads for them, book appointments for them. So the end buyer, they just have to close that deal. So instead of just handing them a lead, we are doing all of the stuff, and we are also managing that and creating some systems for our clients. So that's helped us a lot. Like, I got on call every day with wholesalers, and they just want, like, yeah, I want to start putting in some VAs in places and getting a lot of inbound leads. And then I ask, how many leads have you closed in last 30 or 40 days? They were like 0. It's not. I would never recommend you to start with 0 and go for an employee. Just create some systems, close multiple deals a month, and then after that, scale with someone else. So
absolutely.
that's what I would explain.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I think there's a lot of folks. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's say there's a lot of people out there teaching that right now. That's basically, you need to, you've got a brand new, say somebody wants to jump into wholesaling. You've got somebody saying, go out and hire a VA and start cold calling, start doing this and that. Well, it's, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough to manage that because if you're brand new, something you just really have to experience yourself before you hire somebody to do that for you. And like I said, furthermore, you really have to document it. That's the key.
Exactly.
Yeah. If it can run on its own, even better. Just document it. So anyway, sorry for interrupting you there.
No, it's just the same thing I was doing, about to say this. No, okay, so let's just start talk about the creative financing, right? So tell us about explain us about what's the creative financing deal and the subto financing deal. Like, you're just explaining this to a 15-year-old or a seller who don't know about anything about this creative financing and subto deals. Explain to me, please.
Well, if it's a little bit different if I'm talking to a seller. A seller, you got to understand, 99.9% of all sellers have they don't even know what they have no idea what we do. Like, they don't, these folks have they may have sold 1, 2, 3, 4 properties in their entire life, and they've done it using conventional means. For us, all the creative financing really means for us is it's removing any of your kind of, first of all, it's removing any of your institutional lenders, at least partially, so it's, and what we're doing is we're asking our sellers to finance us. And so so when you have a seller that's on board with that, and you can explain it in a way that makes sense in dealing with their problem. The problem is number one, first of all. If you can deal with their problem and you can address the problem, you would be super shocked at just how open sellers can be if you are addressing their problem. So I want to just like put a huge emphasis on addressing the problem first, because a lot of these sellers, it's not really about money, it's not. And really what I'm saying is you can get super, super flexible if you have the ability to tell the seller or present an offer to a seller that is something that is, non-conventional, it's unconventional. You would be surprised at how many of them open up to you. So that can be something like subject to, where you say, hey, I've got this, I can make you a cash offer, but I'm not sure if it's going to meet, I'm not sure if it's going to meet your needs. I don't know if it's going to be enough for you. In fact, if we know going in that these folks maybe they don't have a bunch of equity in their property, we can just say, hey, look, I can make you a cash offer, but I don't think you're going to have to come to the closing table with some funds. I don't think it's going to work. But then you throw in something like, but I've got sort of a creative idea I'd like to run by you. It's not for everybody. We understand that, but if you'd like to hear about it, I'm happy to talk about it. And you just kind of break the ice. You kind of bring them into this other world kind of slowly, and so essentially, let's say I'll give you an example, like on a subject to deal, it might be that exact conversation. Hey, I've got this creative idea. Let me run it by you here. What if I came in and I just started making payments on your mortgage? And then, what if, I don't know, I made those payments for, 90 days or something like that. And then, I'll come in, I'll fix up the property and I'll get it sold for you. And, and so what I'm asking them to do is delay getting paid by 90 days, because I'm going to pay them once I sell that property. Right. And then you have other situations where, you've got a seller who may be late on payments. Maybe they're behind on a mortgage. It's very common, with exactly. A lot of the people that we deal with. So maybe they're late on payments and you're going, you know what, how about this? How about I come in, I'll catch your payments up for you. All right. I'll catch them up and I'll start making payments on them. And here's what I'm going to do. I have what I call a credit builder program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to start making payments on your mortgage. And what that's going to do over a period of time, that's going to help you maintain and build your credit. It's going to help you recover from the payments that you haven't made. At the same time, we're going to hold on to this thing. We're going to rent this out, or we're going to sell or finance this out. And we're going to actually make your payments, and it's going to help your credit. It's going to build your credit over time. How does that sound? And, when I first started doing this stuff, none of that was really an idea. It was more of just, how the heck am I going to pay for this? But as I progressed in this business, I realized that, you don't have to, assuming what your seller is going to think or what they're going to do is a huge mistake. But I have a common saying that I tell all my students, and I'm constantly reminding them that you are not your seller. You don't, you don't have any business trying to get into your seller's head. You are not your seller. You are not your own customer. So why not just present all these different options and all these different offers? And I'm telling you, these people do exist. They are out there. They will listen if you are willing to just shoot them straight and give them the data. So that's a really long-winded way of answering your question, I know.
No, that's pretty good. Like, we can cut this out and explain to all of other audiences, like, what should you say to those sellers who don't know about the creative financing and stuff like that?
Yeah.
So let's ask you another thing. Like, there's a hot burning topic going on right now in this real estate investing world, like the novation deals, right? Mm-hmm. Would you like to tell us more about what's the novation deal and how do you structure that?
Yeah, it just depends. Okay, so with novation, I like to say that novation in its purest form, in its most basic form, if you look at if you emphasize the N and the V in novation, I mean, novation, and you think of, if you want to try and understand it, all you really need to do is take the N and the V and change that to null and void. Null and void. In fact, I think I've said this in another video.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, if you look at it as null and void, what you're doing is what you want to do is you want to change. Let's say you're a wholesaler. You go out and you get a property under contract, right? Well, then you decide, well, you know what? I want to get out of this deal. I don't, I'm not going to close on this deal. So you would say to your seller, Mr. Seller, this deal might not be for me, but I have somebody that's really interested in this. I was talking to somebody about this, somebody that's really interested in this. What I'd like to do is I would like to bring you two together, and I'll step out of it. I'll just step out of it. You can deal directly with. And so novation in its purest form allows you to legally pull out of that deal, novate that original contract, and then create a new contract with your new buyer. And you can make any changes to those terms. And the reason we do that is essentially it's so that, because if you sign a contract with your buyer, if you sign a contract with your seller, you are legally required to close that deal.
Yep.
You are on the hook for that. Okay. So what novating a deal, what novation, like I said, its purest form, what all that means is you're legally going to pull yourself out. You are no longer on the hook. You're no longer liable for closing that deal. Now your new buyer is responsible for that. They are legally bound and obligated to close that deal. But there are several different strategies, and we know people that are, like, particularly wholesalers, that are just going out, they're going straight for the novation, meaning
exactly. I know.
They're going in. Yeah, they're going in, they're talking to a seller. They're saying, hey, how about this? I'm going to work out this deal with you. But they have a buyer, and they may have a buyer on already set up for this deal, but they're saying, hey, I'm going to go in, I'm going to write this contract with you. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring in another buyer. So you're going to let me, I'm going to get power of attorney. You're going to let me advertise this deal. And then I am going to just bring this buyer to you, and how I get paid will be set up in this agreement. So there's just tons of ways that you can work a novation. But if you can understand, I think the most basic part of novation, which is removing yourself from the deal, then you can start to get super creative with the terms of that deal. So we use novations. So I have some students in Illinois, for example, and I don't want to there's 14 states right now that have different, where the real estate commissions are coming in, and they're trying to clamp down on wholesalers. 14 states.
I know.
A lot.
I know.
Right. So, and that's as of today. This is 2022. This is only going to get, I feel like it's only going to get worse.
1 or 2 year max to max, and then after that, all those other states will be following these 14.
Yeah. So novation is a really good way of, you're not brokering a deal. You're just saying, hey, I know somebody here. I'm going to legally remove myself from it. So I also want to, anytime I say the word legal, I have to disclose that I'm not an attorney or a CPA. I'm not certified in anything really. So, but that's how we use novations. So
basically that's what the explanation of what's the novation. The plus points are, you don't have to worry about I'm hiding this thing, like I'm not the buyer with seller and all those other things, like worrying about the EMD and all those things. That's pretty good. I've seen a person who's closing around 10 or 20 deals a month. Okay, wholesale deals, not basically the wholesale deals, but they are focusing on the novation deals, right? That's pretty crazy, Like you can get those money, wholesale money, but still you don't have to worry about this buying and disposition and all those other strategies.
Well,
That's
a big
point,
deal.
by the way.
Transparency is a big deal to me.
Exactly.
There's nothing that makes me feel dirty. I used to feel so dirty when I was wholesaling properties, just because I felt like I couldn't be, above board and like just super honest with people. And it's probably a projection, something that's in my own mind. But I remember the first property I wholesaled, I felt super, super dirty. I was just like, something doesn't feel right about this.
You feel guilty in yourself, like, yeah, why I'm doing this to a seller? He doesn't know about, like, yeah, he's right. Actually, it's like a scam. Like you tell those sellers, I'll be buying those properties, and now you just put that contract into a buyer's pocket. That's pretty good.
It's
by the way.
It's and the really kind of the dirty laundry and the shameful part of that is you've got tons of gurus out there just teaching that exact strategy, and it might have worked. People are wising up. People are getting smarter about this. And particularly as wholesaling becomes more and more and more popular, do you think that word spreads out into, we have the internet now, for crying out loud. A seller can just go out and Google.
Even sellers know about wholesaling sometime.
Yeah, and you're going to have all kinds. I mean, you're going to expose all the wholesalers are just going to be exposed. Maybe that's not happening so much right now, but it's just growing. That people are becoming more and more aware of these types of what wholesalers really do. So, no, I love Novations. They're a fantastic way to be super transparent and above board, and it's just the way to go. I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's talk about the creative financing stuff. Would you tell us, like, what's the benefits, and do you think, like, doing creative financing deals into this upcoming recession or this changing market is beneficial for any newcomer or wholesalers or REIs?
Awesome, man. You've done your homework. That's good. So here's the deal. I know that right now creative financing is kind of the big buzzword out there. It's the flavor of the month type of thing.
Yeah.
But we have never, at least in my business and in my coaching business, this has always been available to us. This is not something new at all. It is creative financing is, despite all of the big all the talk that you hear out in all these different groups and everything, creative financing has been around forever, for a very long time. And so we don't necessarily, now we might focus on, let's say that we're going to pick up something subject to, we're going to pick up a property subject to. We might focus on when that loan that we're going to take over and be paying on, we might focus on when that originated. But for us, it does not matter. It doesn't matter if that loan was originated in 2015 or if that loan was originated in the worst possible time that the country's ever seen, in the housing crisis of 2008, 2009, 2010. It doesn't matter, because all that matters to us are terms. We don't care if that thing will cash flow for us, and for us, that's the number one priority, is cash flow. And so, so what we're seeing today, like we've seen these interest rates bump up to, and here in the States, we're at right around 6% average. And this is September of 2022. So we're seeing 6%. Well, people go, well, I can't buy a house at 6%. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. We look at it as anything that's at 6% or below is basically free money. The banks are basically paying you to take those properties subject to.
Okay.
So, but we don't, now we don't want to get into like negative equity territory too much. I will buy properties that are, that are in negative equity territory. But they have to cash flow. Cash flow is what it's all about. It's got to be, the deal has to work, and it must cash flow. The deal has to pay for itself, period. Yep. So So I just want to get people out of this, this idea that this creative financing thing, like this is the best time for creative financing. Always, always is the best time for creative financing, always. And it would be highly advisable for anyone that watches this, or anyone that might, anyone that that you talk to in the future, to understand that creative financing is and can be the cornerstone of everyone's business, because so many people just don't think about this stuff. It's not on their radar. And so that's the way we approach it. That's the way we look at it. It's not some big magical thing that just, that happens during this particular cycle.
Yeah.
This is something that can be a part of your business, no matter what the markets are doing. It really can. It's just a matter of how are you evaluating these? How are you going, do you have the strategy to actually make this thing work? So that's my take on it. I've never really looked at it as a hot time for creative financing. Every day is a hot time for creative financing, period.
Okay. And what's your plans for recession? Like you'll be still buying deals, or just stop and wait for the market to go up? Something like that.
Not just buying, I'm increasing my buying activities. 100%. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, and this is not some big secret either. You look at all the successful investors, even outside of real estate,
Yep.
They all buy during a recession.
Exactly.
And real estate is no different. It's absolutely no different. It is, you don't want to get, the thing I would say about a recession is you do have to be a little more careful. Obviously, we're providing housing to individuals. So now all you got to do really is you've got to vet your either if you're a landlord, you've got to vet your tenants a lot better. We're seller financing folks. We've got to vet them a little more deeply. But it's not, it's a commodity. Housing is a commodity, and people need houses. They need places to live. So there's tons of ways to dispo a property and have a long-term cash flowing solution. Plenty of ways to do it. You're never going to run out of those. It's never going to end. That will always be available to you. Yeah, and you might be in a tough market. You might be in, if you're out on the West Coast right now. I mean, it's tough. It is tough out there. I mean, no lie. But it can still be done. It can still be. It's still an option for you. Even in those tough markets like that, those super high pricing markets. So yeah, that's my take on it.
You just know how to run numbers. So that's what 100%. The important part is.
That's all this is, right? I mean, that's what this business is. You market for deals, you run numbers. That's it. I mean,
marketing and sales.
Yeah, it's just got to make sense. That's all. It's got to make sense.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. So let's just talk about your experience here. Like, what's your best experience with creative financing, and what's the biggest deal you did and lost?
Well, the biggest deal that I've ever done, I'm actually working it right now.
Okay.
And I'm not certain that it's going to happen just yet. There's too many things still up in the air. But I am in the middle of a $14 million deal right now, 100% creatively financed, 4.5% interest rate, 30-year amortization, 100% seller carry, 100%. So there are some underlying loans on these properties, but this is a large package of properties.
So you're buying this on your own, or do you have any partners?
I'll have an equity partner, someone to bring some down payment money, but I will basically be in this thing for $0 out of pocket. This will be no money out of my pocket at all. A little bit of time, because I am, like I said, I do run lean and mean, so I do a lot of solo stuff. But so I will go out and I will walk every single one of these properties, make sure that and that's the thing, is like I can probably walk 10 or 20 of them and know almost instantly how well the rest of them are taken care of. But I'm going to walk every single one of them. And that's really what I'm putting into it. I'm putting in the legwork, I'm putting in the time. And then really, just like we talked about, the rest of it is, even though it's a large number, the rest of it's just numbers. It's not that hard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the largest one that I've been involved with. I do own an apartment complex. I own several multifamily buildings. All of them, when I have not visited a bank for any of them. I don't have any loans through a bank. They're all either seller carry, a seller carry portion. I might have an equity partner in some of them. So I like to be in deals. I like to be able to evaluate a deal, make sure that it's going to be a rock solid deal. And then once I have that information, I can go out to my equity partners and I can say, hey, how about this? How about I'll sell you a portion of the equity in this deal? Meaning, so if I buy the property with an LLC, or we like to buy properties in trusts, I'll say,
Yep.
hey, I'll sell you this interest, this beneficial interest in this trust, or I'll sell you a membership into my LLC for X amount of dollars, right? And then they're an equity partner of mine. That allows me to get into my deals for nothing out of pocket. The most I've ever had in a deal at any one time is $8,000.
Okay.
I mean, it's insanely, and that was something that I just had to move on super fast. It was a foreclosure property. It was in pre-foreclosure. Yep. And I had to go down to the foreclosure trustee's office and make that payment in person. And there was just no way about it. I couldn't, this was the next day. The house was going to the auction next day. So I was like, I'm just going to I'll take this check down. I'll pay them off. We'll get it out of foreclosure. And, but that's the most I've ever had in any one deal out of my pocket. The rest of my deals are all equity partners and, private lending and things like that.
Okay, sounds good. By the way, you're just buying a lot of deals and you're a millionaire, and mostly your spend is $8,000. So that's pretty crazy, man.
And the key is doing that due diligence up front, knowing knowing your numbers, knowing how well this thing will perform for years to come. Then you have a nice, pretty package that you can go out and talk to a private lender or somebody that you want to bring in as an equity partner. You can say, look, here are the numbers today. Here's the pro forma moving forward. And, it's not that hard to do. People, if you do it right and your numbers are correct and your numbers look good, and they are good, not just look good, they have to be solid numbers. If you have that together and again, we talk about systems. This is systematized for me. This takes me no longer than, this might take me an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the size of the package or the deal. And once I have that wrapped up, I next partner and boom, it's real simple.
Okay, sounds good, man. And tell me what's the best thing you did into your business and your mindset or something like that, which increased the conversion and your chances to win this much. What's the one thing?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. It's less to do with real estate, less to do with business. And it might be a little unconventional, but the best thing that I ever did for my business was number one, I hired a really good mentor.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, I hired someone that showed me the ropes, someone who was I had personal access to. It's really, if I'm really being honest, that is how we modeled our coaching program. Is just I want that for other people. I firmly believe that everyone involved in everyone should have their own business. First of all, I really do believe that.
Yep.
But I believe one can benefit from there's more than enough to go around. There's more than enough. In fact, there's a surplus of deals to go around. But the second thing that I did that was the most important thing, other than hiring my mentor, was joining a mastermind.
That's important.
Man, I'm telling you, there is something about getting people together in a group where there aren't the stresses and the pressures of competition, or it's just a free flow of ideas. And, really what it helped me do, I thought, early on, I thought I had these systems and processes, and then it's just having these like-minded and super talented people in this in a mastermind. It's just open. It's almost like you've taken a pill that expands your mind. It's just this, it's exponential growth. I mean, it's just so insanely powerful. Yeah, it is it's been the best thing for me. And, so we have quarterly meetings in my mastermind, and, we have a hot seat style. So everyone goes up and presents their business. And I don't know how many times I have tried to get out of going to one of these meetings to avoid sitting in that hot seat,
Okay.
Because you're taking in information, you're giving information, you don't know if that information is 100%, and then you get all of this feedback, and literally I'm thinking about it right now and my armpits are sweating. I mean, it's an intense thing. But I have I don't know how many times I've tried to get out of going to these things, but I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go, because every time I go, I come back with just an abundance, like my mind is just expanded every single time. It never fails. So a good mastermind is I think once you get to a certain level, a good mastermind will just help you explode, honestly.
Totally agree with you, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like I've been into this mastermind games and all those things, but it just it's like explode your mind. Like you got to know about all those other competition. You said that it's not the competition, it's your colleagues, right? You just say that like this man is doing this much amount of things which made him this, and like it will help you guys as well.
Yeah.
So let's just talk
it
about.
helps you. You get to be vulnerable to them.
Yeah.
And you better be vulnerable, otherwise you're not going to get the help you need. So you get to be vulnerable to them, and it's just a free. It's a safe place where you can talk about anything that you need to talk about your business, your personal life. In fact, a lot of my dirty laundry, a lot of my personal stuff has come out in the mastermind, but that bleeds over into your business. If you don't have a satisfying personal life, I mean, business gets even tougher. I mean, it's hard in this world to make your own money. I don't care what anybody tells you, it is difficult. But if you have personal problems that are preventing you from moving forward, that's tough times too, really. I mean, it's just super, super tough to get past some things. But yeah, so anyway, that's my spiel on masterminds. They're a fantastic resource, and there's tons of them out there, but pick a good one.
Agree, man. I have this last question. Like, tell us our audience more about your program of this creative financing. And
Sure. Yeah. Well, so early on, I've run this program for 3 years now, and it was called something else prior. This was it was called the Sub2 Empire Apprentice Program.
Sub2 Empire.
Yeah. So sub2empire.com, you guys can go out and check it out. But basically, I was running this program, and it was what we did was I packaged all, and I was running this solo at the time. I packaged all this stuff together, got all these, all of the content together, videos, and then I kind of just put it out. I just threw all that out there. Any new student, just throw all the content out there. And the problem that I found with that was that those students, they were not converting leads, they were not doing deals, because they were skipping a lot of this content, just going to the things that they wanted to read about, that interested them. And so this past January, I had who's now my business partner, he approached me. He started watching what was going on, what was happening, and he said I'd like to invest in your business. I'd like to invest in your coaching business and come in. And I said, okay, but I'm kind of ramping that down because I was super frustrated that a lot of people just weren't taking action. And so really what we've done now is we put it on a drip schedule. So you have to go through certain content before any other content is released. But so that's the delivery method, right? So that's how we deliver it. But we've changed the name also. It's the Creative Finance Academy now. So we've changed it to more of a type of a school or a college course type setting. So we really go through anything, from marketing. First, we start with mindset, because that's key.
That's important.
So we have, we start with mind, we go into building your team, anything that you can think of that from start to finish can get your real estate investing business up off the ground within 30 days. So this is a 90-day program. 30 days is basically, you're drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of content, a lot of things you haven't heard, a lot of, just tons of stuff that is probably, that I can almost guarantee you no other guru is out there teaching. There's things in here that you're going to see that you cannot unsee. You're going to see things that can change your life. And we deliver that on a drip schedule, and it's been crazy successful. It's just been really, really great. And then we have to support. Oh, let me back up. This is a 90-day program. So our first 30 days, like I said, is just pounding you with information, getting it in there. We have 3 coaches in the program. And so we have 3 coaching calls every week for anybody that wants to jump on any one of those calls or all of those calls. It's your choice. And the whole idea is and what we provide on these calls are, first of all, if anybody's got a deal, we always go over deals first. Deals are the most important. It's the quickest way to cash flow. But secondly, we want to reinforce what you've learned in the academy. So we will discuss and we will talk, we'll clarify any kind of, everybody interprets things somewhat differently. Everybody is guilty of that. And so we want to reinforce what you've learned in the academy. And then after those 30 days, we're going to set you loose. We're going to say, all right, let's go out, let's take action. Because that is the number one, 100%. I used to think it was cliche. I would hear people talking about that, say, go out and take action. But it becomes so much more clear when you're trying to coach people through this, and people stop, and they just don't, they don't move. They just freeze, or they're in this analysis paralysis thing where they just get, it's just this never ending need to know, like this. They just want to consume this information. That does nothing for your bottom line, by the way. Nothing. You're not going to make money. If it's your goal to get out of your W-2 or maybe get out of a business that you're not happy with, it does you zero good to have to think that you have to know everything and to take all that time to try and understand this whole thing. You'll never understand it. I'm still learning 100%. Like, there are things that I see there are things that I'll see tomorrow that I've never seen before in this business. It's just crazy. So, so really from day 30 to day 90 is all about taking action, getting deals under contract, and getting the student on the path to. We all want freedom. Anytime we ask anybody, what do you want? What is your goal? What do you want out of life? It's always, well, I want the freedom to do this. Well, of course you do. So we can dispense with the big long conversation about, well, what do you ultimately want and all this? We all want freedom. We know that. So let's figure out a way. Let's take some action so that we can get you cash flowing. We can get some money in the door, recurring passively, month after month after month. And let's get you the freedom you want. Let's get you the freedom you deserve. That's the way we run it. It's very intense. I'm not going to lie. It's very intense. It is, the academy is just although it's put together well now, it is a lot of information. And it's a lot of good information that will stick with you. You will gain true financial intelligence through the academy. It's a really it's a great platform. We love it.
Yeah, just you're telling me about this. First of all, that's pretty cool program, right? You just talked about this one to
I think
30
I lost
days
you
of.
here. There we go.
Yeah, that's pretty good program. Like from 1 to 30 days, you will be just learning, and then after that, 30 to 60 days, it's just doing actions and stuff like that. So that's what I've experienced in my program as well. Like uh, I started just delivering leads to investors, sorry, wholesalers. Okay, so I was just delivering them leads. They are not doing the follow-ups correctly. Okay, so then I started delivering them a follow-up system as well. Now they don't even call those leads. Okay, I gave them drip campaigns like email, SMS, and all those other things. Okay, I gave them that, and now they are not calling those leads. So now I was like, let's include a calling system as well. So now we are generating leads, calling them, following up with them, all of them. But right now I'm focusing, it's like they're not doing a lot of acquisition and proper strategies to those leads and even appointments. So now I'm also looking forward to give them a acquisition manager as well. So they just have to sign those contracts. So that's my futuristic goals. But right now I'm just experiencing this. So yeah,
That's really awesome. That's really awesome.
yep. So yeah, that's all for today. And thanks for being here, Jeff. I really appreciate your time, bro. Really appreciate this. And I love to.
I appreciate you asking me. You're lucky you got away with as little of me rambling on it as you did, because when you get me started talking about this stuff, I tend to I call myself a squirrely guy. Like a lot of things in this business, one thing will lead to the next thing I know, I'm way off, I'm way off in some other realm, but no, I appreciate you having me. If you don't mind, I would like to, if I can, for a moment, do a little shameless plug here.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay, thanks. Yeah, if anybody's interested in creative financing or wanting to learn more about creative financing and the power of creative financing, head over to sub2empire.com. We run a cohort style program too. So you come in with a group of people once every first of the month. We start a brand new cohort. So yeah, head over to Sub2Empire. Love to. We'd love
I'll
to
link
see you
this
guys.
website down this below. Okay, I'll link this to your profile, your group, and all those other things. Okay.
Sweet.
Okay.
Appreciate it, man. All right.
By the way, thanks for being here, bro. And if you're watching this from our audience, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment below about your questions and what part would you like the best. Okay. So thanks for being here, bro. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Take care.